Welcome, everybody, to the Jessberry podcast. Today's episode is going to be a discussion with Chris Avery. Chris is a husband, father, endurance runner, and faith-driven leader on a mission to redefine what consistency really means. In 2027, Chris and his family will travel the perimeter of the United States while he runs 50 kilometers a day for 365 days, a family-powered journey called Chris Runs America. What began as a way to manage stress became the forge that shaped his faith, sharpened his leadership, and clarified his identity in Christ. With a 1,400 plus day running streak, Chris is living proof that transformation doesn't come from hustle or hype, but from alignment and daily obedience. When he's not running miles, he's running after his calling, which is helping men lead their families well, live with intention, and become the man God is shaping them to be, one disciplined day at a time. Thank you, Chris, for being here today.
Thank you for having me on, Jess. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was never really a runner growing up. I started running during COVID, training for going into basic with the Army, and that is the first time where I felt like I actually enjoyed running. How did you get into running, and did you have that same hurdle of like, oh my gosh, I hate running, but then you started to love it? What was that journey
Yeah, so
like?
great question. So first of all, when I was young, I enjoyed running. It was fun. You just do it at school and you're forced somewhat to do it, but I enjoyed, I got a mile in, and then fast forward, I did it 5 times in 20 years. I hated it so much. So after I stopped doing it in school because I enjoyed it, I just decided to never do it again. And so literally 5 times in 20 years, I met a young lady. She was running her first marathon. She's like, "You want to run a marathon with me?" And I was working out a ton at that time. And I said, "Absolutely never. Never will I ever run a marathon." And I'm like, "How far is it?" And she's like, 26 points. I'm like, "You have to pay for that?" She's like, "Yeah, but you get to eat oranges." And I'm like, that sounds horrible. So I was a bad teammate. Anyways, long story short, she's gonna run her last marathon. We get married, so she's gonna run her last marathon, her drop out. And that day I decided to be a good teammate and join her in the journey and run the marathon. So I just wanted to do it with no training just to see if I could mentally do it. Um, so I finished it with no training, and that was like the catalyst or the big turning point where I got something so deep in my soul from running that I found like something so deeply connected to God because everything, right, if you're not trained and you're running 26.2 miles, you're starving to death because you don't know how to feel. Your legs are, your shins cramping, then your calves cramping, then your right butt cheeks cramping, then your quads cramp. So everything is just breaking down, and that's all you really have left is your deep connection or your soul to get you through, get you to cross the finish line. And so that was really what led to Catalyst. And then on January of 2022, we decided we got to do something bigger, and that's where the mush of collection of thoughts became starting to decide to run the perimeter of America.
Wow, that's so cool. How many children do you have?
I have two. So I have a little boy that's just 9 months or 10 months old now, and I have a
Oh,
little girl that's 3. Yeah, they're the best.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. So it will be well, I'm sure there will be some challenges with that, driving around the US.
Yeah. So the whole point of the journey is show people what you're really capable when we don't limit ourselves, right?
Mm,
And when we understand our connection with God and how makes us unstoppable. Because I really believe I wouldn't have been able to run the 1,400 days, which is almost 4 years total. As of today, I just know I wouldn't have run every day if it wasn't for
yeah.
something bigger, of a bigger mission. And then the other side of it is I want to show people that are parents, like, man, no matter if you have kids or not, like that's not an excuse to not do the big thing that you have calling on your heart, right? It's not
Hmm.
okay to get to the end of your life and look back 20 years back in your life and go like, man, I missed the mark. I had 20 years that I could have done something, or 60 years that I could have done something and I didn't. And so I want to show other parents like, hey, we're going to take me, my wife, my 2 kids, and we're going to see America like no one else, 30 miles at a time.
And tell me a little bit about your mindset with alignment and motivation.
So first of all, I think motivation is a word that most people use, and it comes from the word motive. So I'm a big fan of like origin of words. So it comes from the word motive. And if anybody's ever watched a murder mystery, they always say like, "What's the motive?" Right? Like,
Mm,
why did they murder the person?
yeah.
And so motive just means like your deep internal like reason to do something, right? That's what it means. So I don't think motivation, most people think of this motivation of like, you get on YouTube and you get all hyped up and you're psyched. And, most days I'm gonna be honest, like I don't want to run.
Yeah.
Still, even running this long, there's days where I enjoy it much more than I used to, but there's just days I don't want to. And so to me, I did something that was really powerful in the beginning and I aligned with this. And this goes back to alignment or identity
Hmm.
is I aligned that I knew inside myself that if I got outside my door, that I would get the miles in. I've said that to myself thousands of times. Man, if you just go, because the hardest part was for me, for running 5 times in 20 years, the hardest part was just getting outside the door to go
Mm.
run. And I think so many people can relate with that. Like, the hard part isn't the run. The hard part is just getting yourself out the door. So when I align my identity with, man, I'm a person that as soon as I get out the door, if I go out the door, I will finish the miles. And because of that, like part of that is just the alignment and part of that is, your core identity of who you are. So to me, alignment is so much more powerful because it's where your energy and or your soul connects. Where motivation, a lot of times, most people feel like they're trying to push themselves.
Mm.
One's a push, one's a pull, if that makes sense.
Mm.
And so for me, the identity, the alignment is this pull, this attraction, this connection, this relationship, opposed to motivation seems to be like this ever ebbing and flowing thing that people are trying to grab onto but can't get enough of. But if they watch enough YouTube videos, they'll be able to get enough of it at some point. And
Mhm.
I really dig the word inspiration. So inspiration comes from the word inspire. So to be inspired, right? Like, so in spirit is what it comes from, inspired. So inspired means in spirit. So if you look at in spirit, like I think that's the most important thing is how do you align your mission, who you are, and I think this even goes back to our beginning of our before we jumped on, and started recording with what you're doing. It feels like you are going like, hey, this stuff, I've done all these things. Now I need to make sure they're like in alignment because if they're not in alignment, they're just scattered. And with that scatteredness, it's not a, like most people think it's a lack of motivation. It's a lack of alignment of energy. So you feel drained all the time because your brain is overthinking. Your energy that you use every day is just everywhere. So it's scattered. So there's no like, have you ever seen Ghostbusters? Okay, so like they have those beams, and like when they cross them, they get super powerful. And
Yeah.
when you're aligned, it's like this. It's like them all crossing the beams that they're not supposed to do, but they do it at the end, and it saves the world. So
Mm.
cross your beams, get
Cross your
aligned, and
beams,
then you'll
everyone.
cross your beams, and then you'll save the world. That's the key.
Yeah, I love that. It also gives you a much more solid foundation. It helps you recognize what is the noise in your life, and sometimes that noise isn't bad in and of itself. Like you can get distracted by a shiny object, but that shiny object doesn't have to be a bad or negative thing. It's just not maybe in alignment with your current purpose.
Yeah, I think there's so many great points there. What you said is you're, and I mean this nicely. I'm a father, but sometimes my kids could be the distraction,
Hmm.
right? Like, and I'm not saying I'm to the side and don't spend time with them. I spend more time than any man I know just because of our lifestyle. But yet, like that can be a great thing, but also can be a distraction from other things I'm doing if I'm not aligned with knowing what is like the central purpose. And I,
Yeah.
I love promoting something. Have you ever read the book called The One Thing?
Mm-mm.
I would definitely suggest you picking it up.
All right.
And really, and this is just a motto I live by now, but it's called The One Thing. And he
Yeah.
says in it, like, look for the one thing that you can do in your life that makes everything else either irrelevant or easier.
Mhm.
And for me, running, and I didn't know this when I started, I'm going to be honest,
Yeah.
but the one thing for me is running. It makes me a better father, a better husband. It makes me have mental clarity, emotional resiliency. It makes me have a better view of myself and a deeper connection with God because I'm out there for 2.5, 3 hours every day running and I get to like spend time with God. And so those things are that one thing helps me align so many other things.
Right. It's definitely important for everyone, I think, to reflect and figure out what that one thing is for them. And maybe you don't know, and that just takes, practice and getting out there and trying new things and paying attention to how it makes you feel. For me, it's the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or really any martial arts that I've done. It helps me enter that flow state. It helps, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, helps me develop in all these different ways and come face to face with who I really am, and it's just that constant development, which sounds like running it does all those things for you too.
It does, yeah. And that, man, like if you look at if you don't know your purpose, get fired up, be excited about that because that
Yeah.
means all it is exploration. If I look back, like Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots looking forward, but when you look back, you can. And so when I look back at my story, there were so many things that like I would have never chose running. I wasn't like, yay, let me be a runner. I'm going to do this running thing. That's gonna be really cool. Everybody will know me for running. Like that was never a thought of my mind. And when you look back, you go like, man, there's so many of these things just because I was acting or accepting or saying yes to things, doing things like helping my wife go run her last marathon so she didn't drop out, right? Things like that that I never would have thought of became the things that really helped shape my purpose or my one thing. And so to me, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I want to find my purpose more, go out and start to do things, accept, say yes to more things, have more fun, do things that just seem like wild and crazy that you maybe would never ever think about doing. And I'm sure you can relate to that, Jess. Like there are
Hmm.
just those pieces and you go like, man, my life is way different because I said yes. And I'll say, if you're searching for your purpose and you don't know it at all, be excited about that, get fired up, go do amazing things and accept amazing requests from you, and something will just unfold in front of you.
Right. And I'd add to that, be willing to fail or, silly in the beginning. I was listening to someone speak and he said what a privilege it is to suck at something. Like there are people
Yeah,
who can't do that anymore because they're not here anymore or they have something that is preventing them from doing different things. But embrace that fear, that worry, that self-doubt, and just give yourself a chance to fail.
I love that. I think that's,
Uh,
I mean, you're 100% correct. You're never gonna succeed. I will say, if people recorded me running right now, they'd still probably tell you I look goofy, and that's okay. And that's after 1,400 days. But
yeah.
it's just about getting out there and
Yeah.
finding your best self.
Mhm. And getting out the door.
Yeah, yeah, it's getting out the door for
Just
sure.
getting
Yeah,
there.
that's for sure.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about your mindset and how you have developed that through running
Yeah.
and how it
Man,
ties into other areas of your life.
okay, for sure. So running started with a mile a day, right? Like when I started this thing in January of 2022, I said I looked back on my tracker. So I trained, I ran the marathon, and then I went and ran a 50 miler like just during COVID, me and my wife. And I looked
Mhm.
back and I actually trained for the 50 miler, and I've never run more than 4 days in a row. So I was like, let me see if I can even run a week. And I know myself well enough to know it usually shoot off like a rocket. And then I take on too much. And I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but then you are like, oh, I'll do 20 things. And then you drop half the balls and you did one thing and you just
Yeah.
dish yourself for the 19 you did anyways. So this time I decided, let's do something different. And I started with a mile a day. And starting so small, my mindset around that is you can do something really big, like run a marathon without training once. You can do something really small consistently every day. Yet if you do something small consistently, you can get up to doing something huge every day. But most of us want to ramp up so quickly, and that's the breaking or the anointing hasn't happened yet because we are not strong enough to carry the weight. And we ramp up too quick. So that's the reason we drop 19 out of the 20 things, is because we are not identity wise, alignment wise, eternal wise, the belief in ourselves wise. We are not at the level to know that we are capable to continue to push through the failures,
Mhm.
past the pain. I mean, I've had crazy things happen in 4 years of running every day that we've had to overcome. And we never would have done that had we started at 17 miles. Had we did it only did it because we knew on mile one we could get past it. And the task was so small that we were able to find a way to get it done every day. But had we
Mhm.
started bigger, we would have stopped. So one thing for me is really, how do you start small? And that goes back to even finding your purpose, right? Most of us try to make it this big, huge thing that just is going to take us a lifetime to figure out. And really, when you start small, it's huge.
Mhm.
And I know you said like, how has it affected the rest of my life? Well, I've lost a lot of weight, so that's one thing. Not that I was trying to, but that's one side effect of running. But really, just the way I'm more present, the way I am more calm with my kids, the
Mhm.
way I get to sit down and, not come home and be like thinking about business and just being stressed, but just being again, alignment with my wife and my kids. Those are the main things. I love that. I wouldn't be the man I am today without running. Like I wouldn't be so deep. Literally, me and my wife were looking back at the timeline a few weeks ago, and I would not have a deep relationship with God had I not done this. And so, and I will tell you, most of that comes from the things we don't want, which is like the stress and the pressure and those things that are just the failures that you talk about. You know, the ones that we go like, man, I don't want that. We just dream about the success. But
Hmm.
man, the failure, they break you to show you, to like let the light shine through the cracks of who you really are. And when that
Hmm.
light shines through, you go like, dang, there's way more. There's way more inside I bet I've been giving myself credit for. Let's keep going. We can do this, right? We can do this.
Absolutely. And now, you're sharing that transformation that you've experienced in your own life with other men. What does that look like, and how are you working to help other men come closer to God and show up for their families as well?
Great question. Thank you. So when we look at the business side of it or the coaching side of it, we really are just helping men understand and change. Most of us have a mission and purpose. We're just suppressing it or we pushed it away or we thought about it when we were a little kid. That's what I even tell people. I say
Hmm.
most people are trying to make this like really hard to figure out. Most likely you've had a glimpse or a taste of it at some point.
Yeah.
And you just go ahead.
No, I just like got chills. Like, just yeah, that was great.
Okay. And I really think that's so true is that we've been told by others, we tell ourselves over the years like, oh, that's too big. I can't do that. Oh, like that's not for me. Like, oh man, I do that. You know, I'll do it someday on the calendar. I'll do that someday. And and to me, understanding that, looking at how to help men, it's getting them into their purpose, helping them run because run keeps them mental clarity, emotional resilient, and helps them be the best father and husband. And when we do those things and then we understand how to speak to ourselves and then we understand the power of scriptures and like how Jesus spoke, when we
Hmm.
turn those things and we turn prayer not into a silent desperation and ask, but we turn into it of understanding God's kingdom and authority, those things align. And it's amazing when you see like the fear fade away, when you see like the desperation or uncertainty fade away, when you see them go like, oh man, this is possible. I can do this, man. I can change my purpose and I can like be the man I want to be at home. And I can follow through and do the things. Because that's what most of us in this world want to do is we want to be the person that does what they say they're going to do. That's what 1400 days is about. Is me getting up every day and going like, man, can I be the day or can this day be again another day where I do what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
Or am I going to go back to the old way Chris was and say, not today. It's too hard. It's not for me today. Man, I should have, but I didn't. Because that eats away, and that's the reason I get emotional about it, because it eats away at who we are in our soul. And
Mm.
when we take command of that and we go like, man, we are capable. With God's strength, we can do anything. Then we realize like it's already done. We just we can now go out and enjoy the daily like doing it because it's already done. And we just have to know that, understand God's covenant with us, understand his word and who he is, and understand how to keep moving.
You're making me think about how I think children are just naturally close to God, and they're not worried about like all these extra things that we tend to like put on our plate or in our mind as we become adults. And you mentioned how you probably got a glimpse or a feeling of your purpose when you were a kid. Like, what did you love to do, or what did you actually gravitate towards? Um, yeah, how do you think somebody can tap back into that inner child and that natural connection with God as an
It's a great question. First and foremost, you got to slow down. Like look at kids. They're not over here consumed by everything they're going to do in a day. They're not over here writing 20 things like my girl's 3. I've never seen her get up and write out a task list yet. She's not like,
Mhm.
I got to do this today and dad, I got to do this. Dad, I would, but I'm really busy, you know? She's
Mhm.
like, Play-Doh? Okay. And then she's like, Dad, do you want to run around? Okay. Hey, Dad, let's go hide and seek. Okay. Hey, you want to read a book? Okay. You know, she
Yeah.
just has like there's joy and fun from the experience. And I think so many of us get run down in like we got to do certain things, but we miss the enjoyment of the experience
Yep.
because every day is the life you're living that's passing you by. So to me, first and foremost, you got to take time and slow down. You got to
Mhm.
take that time for that silent run. You got to take that time for that silent walk. You got to take that time to go into the gym. Maybe the lights aren't even on, or if they're on, it's just you and you're just there with you. But most of us go from the write down task and do things is because then we can go from thing to thing to thing. And then Jess, I can tell you about how 2025 was so busy. I got amazing stuff done, Jess. Like, let me tell you all about it because I went from thing to thing, but I lost more of me. I lost more of the alignment. And to me, the alignment starts first thing in the morning. This is something that's still been relatively new for me, but like in the last year is scriptures and prayer in the morning. It's if I miss it, like I feel off. And then some sort of like that physical exercise helps me feel really connected and aligned to myself and to God. And I'm not even sure that I'm answering your question, but that's what I got for you. And if you want to re-answer ask the question, I'm more than happy to see if I give it another go.
Well, that was a great answer. Yeah, no, that was great. I think having that intentional time of just like grounding in the morning and periodically throughout the day, at night, that's super important. It helps us to stay aligned. And it's kind of a funny thing. Like, I think a lot of us tend to just want to do X, Y, and Z, and we're focused on tasks and we're trying to do things because we feel like we don't have a lot of time. But really, the key, like you're talking about, is shifting your mind from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset and recognizing, okay, actually, I have all the time in the world. So let's
Yep.
just take some of that or
Yep.
utilize some of that and be in the present. And when you really learn how to like be mindful in the present, you experience like all of eternity right here, right now. And that's what I've been able to find through breath work, through sound baths, running, martial arts, painting, singing, whatever it is, like you
Yeah.
can find those moments of stillness and those moments of the kingdom of God right here, right now. I don't know if you've ever read the book You Are Here. It's a really good
Okay,
one
cool.
about
Thanks.
mindfulness and bringing the kingdom of God into the present and not always putting it as like, oh, we'll get there when we die or something. It's
Absolutely.
it's here. Let's just enjoy it.
Just real quick, going to the what you give authority to. So if you're like, man, I don't have enough time, man. Like we don't have enough money, man. We don't have whatever is of the I don't have enough of. You're giving that authority more than to the authority to your dreams or your vision or to God. And once
Mhm.
you align your authority, and I don't care if you are a person like, hey, I believe in God, but like I believe more in energy. Cool. A spirit is energy. Cool. A prayer, words, or energy.
Mhm.
Cool. I like whatever you want to call it on the back end, I'm okay with that. What I'm saying though is if you think about it, anything that we think is bigger then like I'm going to use God. Anything that
Mhm.
I think is bigger than God and I give more authority to than God, then that is now my God. So
Mhm.
that is lack, right? Lack of time, lack of money, lack of energy, lack of knowledge, whatever it is. I'm giving those all more authority than I give to authority to God. And that is a huge shift in your life. If you start getting up every morning, you go like, okay, where are the things that I feel like I lack? Now I'm not gonna give authority to that evil like spirit or energy or whatever. And now I'm gonna give it to this. Now you shift your balance and your life becomes aligned and more fueled to do something exciting.
I want to ask you a few more questions. What would your 10-year-old self say to you, and what would you say to your 10-year-old self?
Jeez. So what would my 10-year-old self say to me? And then what would
Mhm.
I tell? I think my 10-year-old self would say it's been a crazy journey. Like looking when I was 10, we never expected this. We had a lot of different dreams and a
Mhm.
lot of different thoughts that we would do or we wouldn't do. And yet like it looks like it made everything better. It looks like me not having full control and getting everything I want made life better. It made all the girls that didn't work out, it made it better. Like because I found my wife. And so I would almost say like my 10-year-old self would say it looks like you found a lot of blessings and the things that didn't go the way you thought they were going to. What would I tell my 10-year-old self? I don't know if you've ever read a book called Shoe Dog, but it's
Mm-mm.
from Phil Knight. It's the guy that created Nike. So you've
Okay.
definitely heard of the company. A
Yes.
great book if you ever want to, read a biography that's just fun. Like you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be entertained, you'll want to read it again. The only thing I would say to my 10, like me to my 10-year-old self is I'm going to steal Phil Knight's thing at the end of his book. And he says he only has one regret and it's that we can't do it over again. And I'm not going to say regret, but I'm just going to say like, little man, like enjoy it because
Mm.
it's the day. There's a saying of we make plans and like God laughs at us, right? Because we're making the plans and then life is happening while we're making the plans. And to me, I look at it and I go, man, do your best to enjoy as much of today as you can. Not because you're gonna die today. I don't dig the, well, what would you do if you're gonna die today? Or if you knew you were gonna live another 24 hours? Like if you love that, it's cool. I'm not dissing you, but to me, I go like, I just go hang out with my family. I wouldn't do anything else. Like, what are you talking about? The only thing I would
Yeah.
do if I have 20, so do that for the rest of that. I mean, unless somebody's gonna pay me to hang out with my family, which if anybody's listening to this and wants to sponsor me and hanging out with my family for the rest of my life, I'm into that. But the pay is low on for that for most of us. And so to me, I would just say, man, like enjoy it. Enjoy all the times where you're down and you think you're in the darkness because there is going to be a greater light that comes from it. Man, every time like life is amazing, enjoy it, celebrate it, but realize like there's different seasons. And like it's almost like when you juice an orange and you're making your fresh own orange juice at home. I think life is like that. Like wring it out. Get as much juice out of every day and the moments you can. And when you don't, have high grace, right? I teach the men high expectations because
Mhm.
we're gonna transform your life, but then high grace. Because if you don't have the grace, you become this bitter jerk that's like just angry because you're just always pushing and pushing and pushing. But high
Mhm.
grace is like that harmony or alignment of love added in there.
I love that. High expectations, high grace. It's a
Yeah,
good thing to live by.
thanks.
So I'm gonna put all the show notes below for our listeners for how they could connect with you. But outside of that, how can people follow you in your journey, especially as you're setting out on the Chris Runs America journey?
Yeah, so you can go to social media. You can find me there. I'm the guy with beard covered in snow with a yellow jacket or beard covered with and just body covered with snow because I'm running during the winter in Utah. So you can find me on Instagram, which is just Chris Avery Coaching. You can go on Facebook, and you can go to Chris Avery. Those are the two best places to find me.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. I really enjoyed talking to you. I can tell that you are in alignment with your purpose, a very grounded energy, very aligned, I would say. I was going to say motivating, motivational, but alignment.
Thanks, Jess. I appreciate it.
Yes, you're very aligned. Thank you so much. And please share with somebody who came to mind who you feel like could benefit from the conversation. And we will see you on the next episode. Thank you.